So Ben Shapiro and conservative rapper Tom MacDonald collaborated on a song recently. Have I heard it? No, I have not heard a single second of the song, nor do I ever plan to, because I personally really value my ears, and I don't like the idea of brutally assaulting my ears. And also I saw a picture of Ben Shapiro and Tom MacDonald together in promotion of this song, and Ben Shapiro was in this oversized hoodie. Yeah, that was enough for me to stay the fuck away from this song also. But what I am interested in talking about is this tweet from Ben Shapiro. Don't mean to hashtag Bigfoot anyone, but Tom MacDonald and I are still America's favorite rappers, and below the tweet is a screenshot showing that their song is #1 on iTunes. On iTunes. You know, the platform that hardly anyone even fucking uses anymore ever since streaming services became prominent. Tell me, when was the last time you bought a song off of iTunes? Me personally, I have not used iTunes since probably 2016. I remember being a staunch iTunes user up until then. I thought platforms like Spotify and Apple Music were stupid because I was like, why would I subscribe to a service just to listen to music? But then one day I bit the bullet and tried Apple Music out for free, and I have not looked back since. I don't miss having to pay $1 for an individual track, or like $10 or $12 for an album. And obviously most people feel the same way because, again, hardly anyone even fucking buys music off of iTunes anymore. They just subscribe to a streaming service and listen to their songs through that. Now, obviously there are problems when it comes to streaming music. Perhaps the most glaring example is the fact that you don't actually own the music that's in your library. I have songs and albums that I bought off of iTunes 10 plus years ago that are now unavailable that I can still play at any time because I bought the track or the album. I own it. Whereas if a song or an album you really enjoy is pulled off of streaming services and that was your only way of listening to that song or album, you're shit out of luck. But despite the problems with streaming services, people have adopted the streaming format and have long since ditched platforms like the iTunes Store. Even Apple themselves seems to want to move on from the iTunes Store, because I'm looking at the iTunes Store app on my iPhone right now, and Apple keeps shoving Apple Music in my face, pretty much saying, are you sure you want to still use the ancient-ass iTunes Store and not want to use Apple Music instead? So taking this all into account, I don't find topping the iTunes charts to be all that impressive, but conservatives always tout topping the iTunes charts like it's still some sort of huge achievement. I also saw this with that Small Town song, or that Rich Man in Richmond song, or whatever the fuck it was called. Oh my god, these songs topped the iTunes charts. We're popular. The left is in shambles. Like, congratulations, you topped the charts on an irrelevant platform no one uses anymore. Gold star for you, I guess? Just before recording this video, I scrolled through the top 100 songs in Apple Music, and I wasn't fucking seeing Ben Shapiro and Tom MacDonald's song anywhere. I looked at the global charts first, and then I realized it's probably only Americans listening to this shit. I didn't see it on the USA chart either. Maybe Spotify tells a different story, but if it's not on the Spotify charts either, it's obvious that no one outside of your ilk is listening to this shit. It's much easier to juice up your numbers on a platform hardly anyone uses anymore, as opposed to mainstream platforms like Spotify and Apple Music. Does anyone outside of like boomer conservatives even fall for this shit? Show a person in their 20s that you top the iTunes charts, and I guarantee they'll be like, oh, congratulations, so how'd you do on Spotify and Apple Music? I don't think there's any mainstream artists who's still bragging about being at the top of the iTunes charts in 2024. Like, for example, I don't think Taylor Swift is doing that. She is currently at the top of the world. People treat her like fucking Jesus incarnate. As maddening as it is clear that she does not need to seek validation by bragging that she's at the top of the charts on an irrelevant platform. But that's all you guys have. No mainstream listeners are listening to your shit. If anything, I find it really embarrassing that you have to brag about topping the iTunes charts. Like, congratulations, you made it at the top of a dead platform. It's like bragging that you're popular on MySpace. Maybe getting at the top of the iTunes charts would be impressive if it were still 2010, but we are in 2024 now. Who gives a fucking shit? Oh, and by the way, when Tom MacDonald announced on Twitter that he would be collaborating with Ben Shapiro on a song, most of the top replies were saying that Tom sold out to the Jews or some shit. What a great audience he's cultivated. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Bye-bye.